Donald Trump has decided to overrule Attorney General Jeff Sessions on the issue of marijuana legalization. Trump has assured that the federal government will not crack down on states that have legalized marijuana or the people in these states using marijuana. Trump has even said that he will support federal legislation that ensures that the federal government cannot crack down on states that have legalized marijuana for medical or recreational purposes. In January of 2018, Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded the Cole Memo. The Cole Memo was a memo from the Obama administration that essentially prohibited the federal government from prosecuting people for marijuana charges in states that had legalized marijuana. This opened the door for a federal crackdown on marijuana in the 9 or so states that have legalized its use. But this angered Senator Corey Gardner. Corey Gardner is a Republican senator from Colorado. Colorado is the first state that legalized recreational marijuana. In response to Jeff Sessions' actions, Senator Gardner essentially blocked all Department of Justice nominees made by Donald Trump until he received assurances that the federal government would not interfere with states that have legalized marijuana. And on April 11th, he got this assurance from Donald Trump. He said in a statement, quote, "Last Wednesday, I received a commitment from the president that the Department of Justice rescission of the Cole Memo will not impact Colorado's legal marijuana industry. Furthermore, President Trump has assured me that he will support a federalism-based legislation solution to fix this states' rights issue once and for all." White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders confirmed that Senator Gardner's statement is accurate. Now, some drug reformers have responded with caution, saying they're not so sure that Donald Trump is going to keep his promise, and I can understand why they may be a little bit hesitant. However, I think in this case, Donald Trump is going to keep his promise. I'll explain why I think so a little later. Support for legalizing marijuana for recreational purposes is very high amongst all Americans, and according to Gallup, which does a poll on this issue, and they've been doing so every year since 1969, in 2017, support for legalizing marijuana was at an all-time high at 64%, or nearly 2/3. Now, as you can see from this chart, support for legalizing marijuana in 1996 was around 25%, or about the same as it was in 1980. But 1996 was something of a turning point year. For one thing, in 1996, the drug warriors made a huge mistake. By drug warriors, I'm referring to the people who are supporters of the war on drugs. In 1996, two states, California and Arizona, passed a ballot initiative that allowed for the medical use of marijuana within those states. Bill Clinton, who was president at the time, was actually a pretty extreme drug warrior, even though he was a Democrat. Bill Clinton vowed to crack down on medical marijuana and vowed not to accept these state laws allowing for the medical use of marijuana. And indeed, there was a harsh crackdown on people using medical marijuana legally in states that allowed it and on their caregivers. This harsh crackdown resulted in not only an increase of support for medical marijuana, but also a great increase in support for legalizing marijuana for recreational purposes. So the strategy totally backfired on the drug warriors. Another interesting fact is that 2017 was the first time a majority of Republicans, 51%, said that they supported marijuana legalization, in addition to the majority of Democrats and independents who also said that they support marijuana legalization. One of the reasons I feel that Donald Trump will likely keep his promise to not only make sure that the federal government does not interfere with states that have legalized marijuana, but also to sign into law legislation that will guarantee that the federal government cannot interfere with states that have legalized marijuana, is that Donald Trump appears to be more politically savvy than Jeff Sessions on this issue. Donald Trump knows that support for legalizing marijuana is at an all-time high and is likely to increase. Trump also knows that the one thing that would really accelerate the increase of support for marijuana legalization would be for the federal government to crack down on marijuana in states that have legalized marijuana. So even if Trump is personally opposed to legalizing cannabis, he also knows that a federal crackdown on cannabis, like the one that Sessions seemed to be supporting, would only backfire. Another reason I think that Donald Trump will likely keep his promise is he knows that there are real consequences to going along with Jeff Sessions on this issue. Trump did have a member of his own party hold up all of his Department of Justice nominations because of this, and he knows that the one way to avoid this political consequence in the future would be to keep his word and not crack down on states that have legalized marijuana, and to sign into legislation laws that would prevent the federal government from doing so. As far as a federal law that Donald Trump promised to sign that would prohibit the federal government from interfering with marijuana in states that have legalized it, there already exists for medical marijuana budget riders that have prohibited the federal government from spending any money enforcing marijuana laws in situations in which people are in compliance with state medical marijuana laws. However, these riders only apply to medical marijuana. This upcoming legislation would apply to recreational cannabis as well and prevent the federal government from enforcing cannabis laws in states that have legalized cannabis. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon for notifications, and together we shall take over the world. I upload 5 videos a month. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at ZorkMid123, and catch me live on Younow and Twitch at ZorkMid123.